Welcome to Momentum's virtual training series, where we invite expert facilitators to share their knowledge on topics that advance women in leadership.
Martina, welcome to Momentum Leaders virtual training today. We're going to be talking about community and being a leader in your community. And we have appreciated everything that Martina has been working with us with Momentum Leaders. She has led so many of our cohorts. She has also been at our conference, which is coming up next week on Wednesday. We're excited about that. And Martina, we are excited to have you here today. And I would love for you to go ahead and just get started so you can have the most time and we can hear from you today.
Great. Thank you so much, Darla. It's a pleasure for me to be here during your virtual training on this lovely Hump Day Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a fantastic afternoon. So I decided, and Darla, thank you. I saw that you had just shared co-hosting abilities with me, but I thought that I would do things a little bit different. So I hope you're okay with me throwing this audible. I'm a feeler, so it's all about kind of how I'm feeling in the moment.
Okay, that is fine.
And so I wanted to be able to hopefully interact with our guest that's joining us here virtually. And I mean, this has been a very interesting week for all of us. It's what we're day 3 or so into the daylight savings where we have all spring forward. And I don't know about you all, but the springing forward has completely hit me like a ton of bricks. So yes, Darla, thank you. So I can see. So I would ask for you all to help to fuel me a little bit this afternoon and give me and the rest of our virtual community this afternoon a few tips and tricks on how you navigate springing forward each year. I mean, it is tough. It's almost like we don't do this every year, but we do it every year. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I feel like it gets harder and harder. So drop in the chat for all of us. What is it that you do to help get through springing forward as we get this conversation started? Now, I was talking to a best friend last night and she said, Martina, I took a Monday off. And I was like, okay, maybe that's something that a few folks. I also heard from another colleague across our organization where she said that she actually goes and focuses on herself and pampers herself. So she goes to get a pedicure, a massage, a facial. And I was like, that's not a bad idea either. I also saw someone said that they, a lot of coffee. Okay, I'm not a coffee drinker. So for those of you all that are like me that are not coffee drinkers, that one might be a struggle for me. A few of you said that you go to bed early on Saturday night, go to sleep earlier. Okay, I'm with Corinne. Ask for forgiveness ahead of time. I probably need to do a lot of that for sure. No, keep the suggestions and feedback going. This is good. Maria, same thing for me. It takes me time just to get used to it over time, but I love the extra time, right? I love the extra time. That's great. That's always fun. Me and the family, we actually participated and played pickleball for the first time on Sunday because we had extra light. That's probably another reason why I'm so tired. I worked out like it was crazy on Sunday playing pickleball. I did a lot of squatting. So keep it coming. But Darla, again, thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to spend time talking about community and advocacy and really how you can show up as really not only being your best self, but also showing up for the community, which is really great. And I truly appreciate the opportunity that Momentum gives me every time, whether it's in front of your conference attendees or your Upward group or your executive leaders, and even in this scenario too with your virtual group. So I really appreciate that.
We love having you. We do, and I've got to just do a plug for you because you are our go-to We probably use you so you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's them again." Because we love having you on here because you are such an amazing communicator and you make everything so relatable. And you don't just talk about it, you actually are just you are killing it out in the community, at work, and how you live it. You live this out, Martina, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate how you make it just so you make it look easy. So thank you.
Well, it's not. It's not. Like I said, I'm being real today to tell you that springing forward is kicking my butt. So this one,
Well, thanks for being
um,
honest because yes, it is everyone. And it's
yes.
we felt it here too, not just with us, but with our kids. And I know I've seen this a lot in the chat too with the kids, you know.
Oh yeah, then the kid,
Um,
that's a whole nother animal that we'll have to tackle in another virtual session.
yeah.
But you know, as I think about this particular conversation, talking about community and advocacy, and how do you pour into your community to really show up and show out, which I think is what I put, you know, as the title, you know, of this conversation. You know, it's really near and dear to my heart, and I'll talk a little bit about why this is really important to me and share a little bit about my personal story, which is kind of what got us here. But you know, this one is really important because as you think about our current environment and thinking about some of the things that we're navigating today, we are in a different space today than probably we've been in a long time. And I think that, and I'm not even talking about the pandemic. This has nothing to do with what happened in 2020. I think that what we are experiencing today is a little bit different. There's a lot of things to navigate. There's a lot of things to shift. And it seems as if those things are coming faster than they ever have too. So you don't even have a lot of time to process you know, what's going on, because by the time you figure out what's happening, then there's something else that's coming on the horizon. And so as you think about the community and how, you know, you show up and what impact and influence you can have in your community, it truly makes a difference. And for me, it really fuels me. It really fuels me to keep me going, if that makes sense. So I'm going to ask for more interaction. And I'm going to ask for you all to take a little bit of time. And I see a lot of you all are busy. I see some of you all coming on camera, which I appreciate. Some of you are walking. I see somebody in their car. But hopefully you all can just be idle for like 30 seconds. Just be idle for a second. And I want you to think about your community and those people that show up in your community as what I like to call visions of good. So when you think about those visions of good, I want you to drop in the chat for me and the rest of the community here. What are some of the qualities or what are some of the things that you see from that particular leader in your community? And that can be very broad. That could be your work community. That could be the community in which you live. It could be the community in which you play. It could be your church community. But I really want you to share with us what is that good quality or the good things that you see that person. This is the person that shows up as a vision of good. Just take a second to think about who that person is. Ooh, I love that. Tasha, honesty, even when it's hard. So we're a lot about time and unselfishness. Also see too, just the part of compassion and passion for others and just very genuine. That's great. Keep it coming. Servant minded, servant leadership, dedicated, even when no one else shows up. Wow. Kind and considerate.
I'm loving these, aren't you, Martina?
Yeah, I
Passion
mean,
for
these
the
are great.
mission, heart of compassion, selfless, generous of time. Wow.
Ooh, Maria, I hope you don't mind me calling you out here, but I love the person that's in your mind. it heads your cares community at your church. And you said she has a strong commitment to being compassionate and getting the job done. So isn't that great that you're highlighting her today? That's awesome. Has the ability to rally the troops, never gives up.
Mm.
Maria, thank you. Tell her that we're applauding her. I love that. Okay.
Yes.
No, this is great. This is great. I love just those visions of good, because in full transparency, and Darla, I appreciate you sharing my candor and kind of how I show up. But I do want to share a little bit about, all of these things that you all mentioned are absolutely right and are absolutely spot on. But I can tell you all of these qualities that you all shared about those people that you see, or those visions of good, it sometimes gets a little tough to be the person that shows up all the time when no one else is showing up. To be the person to care and or advocate for things when others don't. It is hard. We've all heard that saying where you've got to kind of lift yourself by your bootstraps to be able to get back up and do it all over again. And I think that we are seeing, again, as we think about kind of the current environment that we're in, we're seeing a lot of this needing to understand and needing to be compassionate for others. And Tara, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing correctly, but you said lifting people up and finding the good in everyone. Wow, that one is good. Uh-oh, I'm sorry, Siri didn't understand what I was saying. But that one I think is really important, because right now, as you think about our communities and the need in our community and how we can all show up, I think is really important, and something for us to take internally and to figure out what's really important to us. So, as I think about how I approach this, over the years, it's been extremely important to me to pour into my community. And a lot of that has to do with my upbringing. I am the proud product of the South Side of Chicago. And my story is not, as I would say, cookie cutter as most people would think, or easy as most people think. So not only am I the product of growing up in, underrepresented, underestimated, underserved community, I also am the product of a teenage mother, a mother that had me when she was 16, almost 17. And then my father was actually killed on the South Side of Chicago due to some gun violence. As I was young, I think I was about 8 or 9 around the time that he was killed. And so, as you think about the scenarios that happened throughout my life, so all of these things happened to me before I was even 10 years old. And as you think about some of this trauma and tragedy that comes with some of that, it is hard to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and to continue to press on and not be, I would say, continuing to be a part of the problem and focus on being part of the solution. But I can tell you the reason why I am in the position that I am today is because there are people in my community that really wrap their arms around me. And other children too, other, Black little girls on the South Side of Chicago that had so much noise around them that it was really hard to sometimes navigate some of that noise. And what's also interesting too, I was actually with my mom for the last 10 days. Last week, she celebrated her 60th birthday, and I was there. She's a leap year baby, and so technically she turned 15. And so I was there to help her celebrate her 15th birthday. And next year, not next year, but the next 4 years, I'm going to throw her a pretty bad Sweet 16 birthday. So I'm really excited about that. But I spent the last 10 days with her. And what was really interesting and what we navigated and spent some time through was talking about the last 60 years of her life and how we're navigating kind of where we are. It's that, where we've been to where we are today. It's truly remarkable and such a blessing for us to be here. But I honestly told her, and of course she got emotional as we were blowing out birthday candles and things and sharing her story and some of her trials and tribulations. And I was telling her that, quite honestly, I know that she probably wished things looked a little bit differently for her, especially earlier in her life. But I said, I wouldn't change anything in the world that happened to us because it's made me who and what I am today. And so she had this really big birthday party the day after her birthday. And what was really cool, now, some of you might say, well, Martina, so by the way, I'm 42, almost 43 years old. So I'm not young. And when I think about some of the people that came to her birthday, they remembered me as little Tina. So my Martina, most of my family call me Tina. And so they remember me as little Tina, and my mom, carrying me as a teenager and walking around. And it was just so interesting because I remember a lot of those men and women, even though they were younger too, I remember those people that poured into me as a young girl. And as you all were sharing, I think there was someone that talked about lifting people up and finding good in everyone. Those people did that for my mom. Those people, even before my dad passed away, did those things for my dad. They were the ones that when my mom probably couldn't get things together, they were knocking on our door and inviting me to go to Bible studies, or they were inviting me to go to different community events. Or I can remember there was this really, really sweet lady who attended the birthday party, who I actually remember was the person that took me to my first gymnastics class when I was 7 years old, and who told me, because I was always flipping and flopping and doing different things when I was younger. And she remembered and told me that story. And so I tell you all that it is so important how you show up or why you show up, because you never know the impression that you are putting or making on someone's life. Like, you have no idea. So fast forward, I'm spending time with my mom over her birthday. And something else that I do in my spare time is I actually run a pageant. By the way, I'm not a pageant queen. I don't want you all to, I'm not a pageant queen. I never even did a pageant myself in school, by the way. But one of the things that I do is I run this pageant called Pelham Day of Pageants, which is a kindergarten through 8th grade pageant for little girls or those that identify. And what's interesting is one of the little girls, I say little, she's not little, she's a freshman now in high school. While I was gone with my mom over the last 10 days, the high school was actually hosting their high school pageant. And her mom had reached out to me to say, hey, Martina, I would love for you to spend some time with my daughter to help her prep for her interview. I was like, oh my gosh, dang it, I'm not in town, but I would love to send her some tips and tricks. And so I sent her a few things, and I was like, look, just be yourself. That's all. That's the only advice that I have you. Just be yourself and show them truly who you are. So I'm so proud of this little girl. She did a phenomenal job. She actually ended up placing first runner up in her division. And I was so proud of her. And she sent me a text message and she said, Miss Martina, every time I walk on the stage is because of you. And that I always think about the advice that you gave me back when I was in 2nd grade. Remember, she's now a freshman in high school. And she said, I remember you telling me and giving me tips, and you helped me be confident. And you told me not to worry about anything that those judges said or anything that the people in the audience said. Just go out and have fun and be myself. I didn't realize, obviously, what I was telling her in 2nd grade. I really would think I was just trying to get her out on stage because she was really nervous and was about to cry and didn't want to go out on stage. And so I was probably like, you can do it. Don't worry about what people are saying. But I share that to tell you that it is so important that when we do show up for our community, that we show out, because you are making an impact, and there is some level of influence that you are going to have on people. It might not happen today, but I can guarantee you that it will happen tomorrow. I see it happening all the time. And what's really cool, I recognize a lot of names, the people that are coming in the chat and a lot of people that are on this call. And I recognize your influence, and I recognize the things that you all are doing in your community. And I want to challenge you to keep doing it. Don't stop. Some of the best advice that my husband has given me, I mean, he gives me a little few nuggets here and there, but one of the things that I've always appreciated from him is that he has told me is that, Martina, don't ever do the things that you're doing to look for any recognition or any pats on the back. You do it because it's what you want to do. And it's the things that truly fuel you. And that's really what keeps me going each and every day is I don't really look for the recognition. I don't look for anyone else giving me the atta girls or atta boys or whatever that is. I'm really looking at what makes me feel good. And sometimes you also have to be a little bit selfish about the things that you do. I do get asked to do a lot of things. I'm also a little bit biased to momentum because for some reason I can't not say no. But I can tell you that I get people to reach out to ask me to do things all the time. And it's not that I don't want to help, because I also have a servant heart, and I consider myself a servant leader. However, sometimes I realize that maybe I might not be as passionate about that thing that someone's asking me to do. And I will respectfully decline the offer and say, I appreciate you reaching out, but I might not be the person that is, that can maybe add or provide the most value or be the most impactful for what you need. And most of the time people are very understanding. And then sometimes I'll even ask questions and I'll say, help me understand what it is that you want to get out of, whatever it is that you're asking. Is there a specific reason why I was chosen? And I've had to learn that. Throughout my career, whether it's within the professional setting and or in my philanthropic professions, I would say it's definitely something that's been learned. But the best advice that I would give you is definitely focus on thinking about being engaged and involved in things that you're truly passionate about. Because when you're not passionate about something, or when something really doesn't align with where you want to spend your time, then you're not going to give your best. My passion is really pouring into children. I really enjoy spending time with children, helping to motivate them and untap their potential. And then I also enjoy pouring into women to help them see and tap into their potential, to see that they can do all the things that somebody might have told them that they couldn't do. And that's really where I find my passion and where my energy lies. So that's where I spend my time. Which is really important. And so again, if you don't take anything else away from what I'm sharing, is just be selfish and intentional about where you are spending your time in your community, because you can see it. You can see it every time when you show up. And even as you think about your service, I'm sure many of you are on boards and junior boards and helping in several capacities, whether that's with other nonprofits, within your church, within your own community. You might even sit on an HOA or some type of neighborhood association or board. When you are not showing up and giving of your full self, people notice that, and they start to question, is she really in it for the right reasons? Does she really want to be here, or is there an alternative agenda, or if there's another reason? But you got to be authentic and genuine. And as several of you put that out there, you put that out there when you said, hey, these are the people that I see show up as a vision of good. They're truly genuine and they want to be there. That's really important. So I'm gonna stop and give myself a break for a second. And I'm curious to open up our virtual group, and would love to have, and Darla, you cut me off anytime you say that, okay, Martina, that's enough, because I can go all day. But I would love to hear from you all, or if there are any questions that you all might have as we continue to talk about community and advocacy and how we show up.
I want to go ahead and while you're looking there on line, while people are going to go ahead and put things in the chat, I want to reiterate what you just said, because it's something that I came into this year saying. There's a couple of boards that I'm on, and I love them and I love what I'm doing, but my passion is somewhere else. And I had talked to, sitting around talking to my friends and my family. I was like, I love what I'm doing and I love their mission. That's why I wanted to be a part of it. However, while I do appreciate what they're doing and I love it, that's not my passion. And there's a difference in saying, wow, I love what you're doing. And it's just, you can't wait to get there and be a part of it. And I've
Yeah.
noticed that in me, there were some meetings, it was just a hard struggle to be there because I felt like, what am I really adding? Not that they weren't doing good, but am I really adding the same level that they're adding?
Yeah.
And it made me reassess what I want to do and I think that goes back to your values and what
Mhm.
we were talking about earlier, Martina. Your core values are going to reflect where you pour into your community
Mhm.
and that passion
Mhm.
because there's a lot of things that I one of my core values is justice. So there's a lot of things that I am like, yes, I'm so glad y'all are doing that. But my passion comes down to what my core values are, and I believe that they support one another. So would I think that's a great idea to just see if anybody would go ahead and put into the chat, where is your passion at? And have you had that happen to you as well? That you jumped into something fully aware of what you were doing and the commitment and you wanted to do it, but after a while you realize this isn't the field I want to die on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I'll add, Darla, while everyone is getting their thoughts together. The other thing too is I think about for me, my passions also shift. We change, things in our life also
Yeah.
changes where we want to serve and where we want to be. I mean, I spend a lot of time pouring into the Pelham community. That's where my kids are. That's where I live. I'm always go Panthers everywhere I go. It's really important to me because I also wanted my children to see me, show up as well to say that, hey, I care about your education. I care about your community, and I'm going to help be a part of the solution. And I have to tell parents that all the time. And I said, when there's issues with teachers or issues, at the school system level or community, I said, hey, instead of complaining, have you thought about going up to the school and maybe eating lunch with your student instead of talking about the lunch to figure out what it really is and then sitting down with the school to say, hey, here's some recommendations. We are really good peanut gallery people, great peanut gallery people. But sometimes we have to
Yeah.
shift. And I can tell you now that my kids are getting older and I have one left in high school, I can tell already that my time probably in the school system advocacy will probably start to shift.
Yes.
Just because that seat I've set that seat for a while, and it's also time for me to bring others along. And so that's what I was going to share, Darla. Sometimes your passions
Hmm.
they change over
They
time
do.
as you change over time, and there's nothing wrong with that at all,
Exactly.
at all.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, Tasha how do you recommend to help influence the same mentality on other leaders?
Oh, that's a great one. Thank you, Tasha, for sharing that question. I would take, I would say, a page even out of Darla's book and how she kind of shared and asked, "What are your passions?" I think sometimes it takes really having to get down to the root cause. So, for example, and Darla has seen me teach this as I teach DE&I with the Upward Momentum Group, and I talk about the iceberg analogy, where there are things above the waterline or above the iceberg that's very easy for us to see. So even with me, most people that know me know that I'm usually full of life, full of energy, don't mind commanding a room. I love a good time. I love to have fun. That's me. But below the iceberg are the things that I shared with you all earlier. Most people don't know unless I've shared it. Most people don't know my story and my history. And it really starts to help people understand why I drive as hard as I do to accomplish the things that I have accomplished and to fail even at the things that I've failed at, because I've seen struggle. I know what it means not to have. I know what it means to want and not be able to get. I understand those things. And so I would recommend, Tasha, really trying to understand the things below the iceberg that helps to fuel people. Because once you understand that, it starts to really make a shift in how you help people along their journey.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, again, the reason why they're influenced in a way or why they're passionate in something is because there's typically something in their life experiences that has helped them get to this space.
I like
So
that.
that's what I would recommend.
Sophia, I love what you said, that you're multi-passionate, which can be a struggle because you're passionate about so many things. And how are you trying to find out where your passion aligns with your, I guess would be your purpose, and how you get into that? For me, that, and I want Martina to go into this so much more, but just real quick, for me, I feel your pain because there's so many things that I'm like, oh, this is great. But for me, like I said, I had to go back to my core value and pay attention to how much time do I have to commit to something. If I could commit to just one thing outside of my work and my family and my community and my faith, what's the one thing that I could volunteer my time with that I would, like I said, that would just make the difference? That's how I have chosen, Sophia. What do you think, Martina?
Yeah, I love that. And I think, another thing that's really interesting too is as you think about how do you turn your passion in a career I love, I tell people all the time that I'm in the people business. That's my job. Whether it's at Protective Life or the things that I'm doing in the community, how I show up is in the motivating, inspiring, and influencing people. And people are, I mean, that's very, very, very broad. So if I'm at a board table, on a board that I'm sitting on, I'm able to leverage my gifts and my talents that way. And sometimes I know it's difficult because it might not always translate to you're passionate, you do this job, you get a paycheck. That's the part that I know sometimes is a struggle for a lot of us. But quite frankly, a lot of the things that I do, my passion work, I don't look at it more as I would say all about a career, but it's just what I do. The people business and the people work is just what I do each and every day. And I would also challenge you to figure out ways to pour into things, particularly around your passion, where you can weave in. So for example, if maybe you're working in a career today that really doesn't fuel you, but you could find things. So let's say if you're a numbers person and you're pretty analytical or you like data, are there things in your job where maybe you can go to your manager or go to your boss and say, I know that my job is X, but I really am passionate about Y. And if I could spend some time, dabbling into a little bit of analytics or data within my job, wow, that would really light my fire. Even if I can just, shadow somebody, or those small things, might sometimes get you to ultimately where you want to go. The other thing that I'll share with you, and this is me just being really transparent, it takes time. And we, just as people in general, we don't do really well with time. We like for things to be instant. We want it to happen immediately. And I am sharing this with you as a lesson that I've learned. That sometimes there are things in your life that you're passionate about that you want, but that doesn't mean that it's the thing that you need right now. And I've learned that.
Yes.
So,
agreed.
Yeah.
I like what Tara said,
Yeah.
that it is, I think that, and I agree with you, Tara, as women, that we continue to pour into our families, our kids, our grandkids, the elderly parents, that is left on most of our shoulders, is caring for not only ourselves, our job, our parents, our kids, our in-laws. And I think that in itself is a way to pour back into the community, is to be there for them. I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, showing up and advocating for the people around us and the people that we care about is so important. I also say, because if you don't advocate for them, well, first you want to hope that they advocate for themselves. But as I think about my children specifically, I have two children. I have a daughter that's 19 and a son that's 16, and I am constantly advocating for them. And I have parents often reach out and say, how do you find the confidence and the courage, sometimes to maybe be a little, challenge the status quo, or maybe I'm going to say respectfully fight, for things that might not, be in the right. And I say, well, we have to advocate for them so that hopefully they will see when it's time for them to advocate for themselves, that they will have the courage to do so.
Mm.
And I've encouraged other parents too. I was like, you can't sit back and let things happen and then, complain or cry or, be frustrated about it, even when it's hard. But I can tell you too, I advocate for people even outside of my four walls.
Mm.
Because I think that that's important. I actually had someone say to me the other day that I was at a conference in New York, and it was around diversity, equity, inclusion, which is great. And we were talking about, and you all heard it, of course. Oh, by the way, happy Women's Month. And we were talking about advocacy, sponsorship, and mentorship. And this lady said, I see mentorship as the person that is going to hold my hand and help me along the way, and will also tell me that my slip is showing. And I mean, she just got a rouse from the crowd, because like, who even owns a slip these days? That's phenomenal. Some of that was great. And then the second thing she said was, but when I think about sponsorship are those people that will not only speak for you when you're not in the room or when you're not at the table, but they will bring a chair for you to sit next to them at the table.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have the sponsors there to help to support you, then please know that if you don't have anybody in the room to speak about you, know that you're going to be on the menu. And I was like, well, wow, okay, that's huge.
I like that.
And so I just think that that's super, super important to continue to advocate, not only for our loved ones, but also people around us where they might not have the courage or the resilience to be able to do that for themselves.
Exactly. I love that. That's something that is one of our core beliefs here with Momentum Leaders, is to shine the spotlight on other women instead, and have a generosity mindset of other women around you and other people around you, and do it in a way that is very respectful and empowering, to where the word gets back to them. I'm a big advocate of talking so great about people behind their backs that when it gets back to them, they want to come up and hug me and say thank you, because word gets around. Word gets around, good and negative. So we have the choice to have power. Our words have power. And so do we want it to be something positive and create that advocacy and that empowering, even when they're not in the room? Thank you for saying that. I love that, because that is so true of inviting someone to the table, even when they're not there. Others know that you're there for them.
That's right. And that's just so important. And we need that today. There's just so much negativity, and it's coming at us at every angle. That's the other thing. I mean, there's this feeling of almost that we're getting scrutinized for, everything. And it is good to know that when you have people, advocating for you and showing up as allies and really helping to support you, it helps you get kind of a little bit of swag, if that makes, if that makes sense.
It really does. It does. Then one thing that was said over here in our chat that I did not want to overlook, is from Maria, that she had been presented an opportunity to get experience in an area that she was passionate about on her job. And then she was eventually hired in that area. Create those spaces for yourself. Like you said, just go in and say, hey, I'm really great at this. And I've noticed that I can do a little bit more of this in my job, if you'll let me, in my position, or, wherever that is at. Pay attention to what you're really, really good about, because most of the people who have brought you on board probably already see a lot of that. they were just kind of waiting for you to see it.
Yeah.
Because I know
Yeah.
that's happened with me before. And even where I'm at now, just I'm an amazing culture here with Momentum Leaders. We're just, you know, we pinch ourselves, you know, this is our job. But that encouraging of bringing out the very best in other people is part of being community minded, advocacy minded, to where they have that confidence. Like you said, I love that how you said that it does make you feel lighter, makes you feel
It
so much more
does.
confident.
Absolutely. And I know we've talked about, advocacy and allyship for others, but you got to take care of number one. I mean, I say often that it is so important to make sure that you can lift your own self up and motivate yourself, because you know what you need. And I'll give again another very transparent moment. This is like fresh off the press here. So last night I was working on, I can't even tell y'all the amount of things I was working on. It was crazy. I mean, I was just like going from one thing to another. And there's so many things I wanted to do after work. I was like, okay, I'm going to cook, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do all this other stuff. And sometimes you just hit a wall. And I was like, I can't do anything else. But I had this other thing that I needed to do last night. It was pretty aggressive. It was crazy. Well, and so this morning I was like, okay, Martina, new day, new to-do list. Let's go. Like, let's tackle it. I've got to find things to get me kind of, get me going. Now, I did start my day off at the dentist. I'm not sure if I would recommend that with everybody.
No, that is not how I would do mine.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I planned that to happen, but I'm sharing this with you because I had so many people reach out to me to say, hey, are you okay? What's going on? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just letting you all know I too, who it seems as if I can do a lot of things and take on a lot of things, which I can, I too sometimes hit a wall. I too sometimes run out of time, don't have any more fuel. Sometimes I need a Snickers because I turn into somebody else.
Do you get hungry?
Yes, I get hangry. And I just, Adrian, I see you. So I was sharing that just to say, hey, even me who, as you mentioned, Darla, make it look a little bit easy, sometimes I struggle too. And there is nothing wrong with sometimes saying that I'm out of breath. I'm out of fuel. I don't have anything else to give. That's okay. And sometimes I think, and I know I've been, definitely a victim of this, and could have probably shown up differently, especially as I think about showing up from a community perspective too. You sometimes present as if everything is like you've got it all together and everything's going on smoothly. And that's just not the case. And so sometimes you got to give people a little bit of grace. And I cannot remember who said it, but it was like at the beginning of the best tips and tricks for navigating daylight savings. But someone said, I'm trying to scroll back through, that you asked for Korean, there you go, Korean House. You said you asked for forgiveness ahead of time. And I think that that's so important. I really do. So any questions that you ladies have, any additional questions that you all have, or even any thoughts on what we're speaking about?
While they are putting that into the chat, I just want to thank you again. This has been so delightful today, and especially with us looking forward to our conference next week. Coming into this right now with a fresh perspective of what community is, I challenge everyone who is going to be facing this day, whether you're coming to the conference or you're just starting a new day, like Martina said, to just start fresh and wipe the slate clean. Take a deep breath. We're really big about that. Just breathe and just see that what you're expected to do is of this day. And don't let everything else pile on you, because every one of us could work until midnight at our jobs getting stuff done, or we could stay at home getting things done and never show up for our jobs. So learning that balance is something that that we have to learn young, But as you get to be an adult, you sometimes feel like you've got to put that away. And I know we all have to learn that.
And I'm going to spend, Darla, thank you for mentioning the conference. I'm sure all of you already have your tickets and stuff and you're ready to go. You've blocked off your calendar so you don't have to worry. So you can be fully all in while you're there. And I hope that for those of you that I don't know, please feel free to come up and see me, shake hands, hug, fist bump. We can do a little shimmy dance, whatever gets you going. But I hope that you all will come up. But I will share with you all kind of as we're wrapping up and rounding out here, that as you think about your community and how you show up and show out, it's important because our community needs us to show up in a lot of different spaces. And today might look a little bit different than tomorrow. And I use community very, very broad because I know that a lot of you women show up differently in your community. Again, could be your work community, it can be the community in which you live and play, it could be your church community. And what I ask is that when you decide to take the ticket and say, okay, I'm next in line, I'm going to show up, show out, give your full self. Don't give it half, give it all. But if for some reason you think that you might have hit a wall or you might need an extra hand, do not ever hesitate to tell and ask. I promise you there's probably someone else that's like, oh my gosh, girl, I'm so glad that you said that you're struggling, because I'm struggling too. That definitely helps us sometimes. We've all heard misery loves company, and I guess I love company. So, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you commit and show up and give your full self, but make sure that it's something that you're passionate about. I think that's great. And Adrienne, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I appreciate you for sharing that.
For those of you who have not seen it, she was just thanking Martina for being amazing inspiration, for showing up and showing out the best ways. And I also appreciate you, Martina. We all do, and we appreciate your time with us here today. It's been pretty awesome. Just getting your fresh perspective, your energy. I love how you just fill up the room, even when we're sitting here on Zoom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But we're all, I say this a lot. I know one of my partners is here. I'm listening on the call and she hears me say this all the time, but it's a journey. All of this that we're navigating through life, it's a journey, and there'll be some days that will be better than others. And the days that are better, like, just kill it.
Yeah.
Just kill it. Like, the days that are awesome, just go in and light the world on fire. And the days where you might need a break, take a break. Get your popcorn, turn on Netflix, watch Virgin River, whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do.
Go get your nails done, whatever you need to do.
That's right. Yeah. Pedicures, mani, whatever it is. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm going to go and get me a sushi boat at Blue Sushi, whatever. Just do whatever fuels your fire and your passion so that you can show up the next day ready to light the world on fire. So Darla, thank you for allowing me to share my nuggets. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this servant leadership at the conference, and I've got a few cool tricks up my sleeve. Even Momentum doesn't know about it. So I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about, which this actually reminds me, I need to follow up on something to make sure that it's ready for next week. But it's really exciting. So if you want to hear more, know more, and just kind of engage with other like-minded men and women, because of course we can't forget about our men that are going to be there, who are showing up as allies and advocates, which are great, then feel free to check out my breakout session in the afternoon, I believe. Yep.
Yes. Cannot wait. I cannot wait. I will be popping my head in there and listening to you for sure. Can't wait to see. And the conference next week is just going to be stellar. So excited about it and cannot wait to see all of y'all there. Definitely we'll be looking you up, Martina, and I want to try to grab a hug from you before everybody else gets in line. Okay.
No, it's going to be great. I'm super excited about it and glad that it's back around. And thank you for asking me to come back. I much appreciate. Much
Well,
appreciate.
of course, yes. You have a blanket invitation right there, okay?
Got it. Got it. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. And I'm not
Yes,
sure if there are
thank
any
you.
other questions or feedback. And Corinne, I saw Blue Sushi is awesome. It's so good. If you all have never been there at the summit,
It
and it's so
is
good.
great. Highly recommend it.
Yes.
Oh, it is so good. The service is great too, not just the food. I like all of
Yes.
it. It's very, very good. Thank you so
It's
much.
really good.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of screen share real quick right here with everyone. I think I'm going to try to do this. Yes. I do want to make sure that we have a chance to thank our sponsors. I do not want to forget our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. Thank you. Y'all have made this possible for free. Thank you so much. And also for mentoring. Thank you for what you do for the women here in the reach of our voice. We are so excited, and we are grateful for you. If you want to be a sponsor or want more information about that, please reach out to us. We would love to have you join in on this circle of winners right here. And also our next month virtual training will be April 17th. You'll find that on our website. We'd love to have you in there. She will, Dr. Lorian Pratt will be our virtual trainer next month. She's also going to be at the conference, so look her up. She is phenomenal, and I have loved talking with her. You'll enjoy her as well. We want to just take another second right here of saying thank you so very much for what you have done for us, Martina, and for everyone who has attended today. We look forward to seeing you at the conference and back again in April. Thank you.
Momentum's virtual trainings are made possible with the support of Protective Life, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and America's Thrift. Find the full list of sponsors as well as additional resources for women leaders on our website at momentumleaders.org. Thanks for taking the time to invest in you, and remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. We love reading thoughts and comments, so you can leave those for us here too. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn